It's time for NugLife Radio, a higher level of education for the cannabis counterculture community, featuring Medi Mike with the cannabis correspondent Benji. Like us on Facebook.com/NugLife Radio Show, Twitter @TheRealNugLife, and Instagram NugLife Radio. I'm your announcer, Recreational Riley. Here's Medi Mike.
All right. Well, what happened to the headlines I gave you? I guess. Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Well, that's par for the course. They're in your messenger, but that's cool. Oh. Oh. Wonderful. Something like that. Like the audio was not there. Okay. Okay, so there's a UCSD researchers recently published a study in the Journal of American Geriatrics that analyzed ER visits by older adults from 2005 to 2019 in California, and they found that cannabis-related visits rose from 20.7 per 100,000 visits in 2005 to 395 per 100,000 visits in 2019, which is a 1,804% increase. So they were looking for, they were just looking for a correlation for. Well, no, it was a correlation between legalization and visits to the ER for cannabis-related visits for older adults. They say that older Black adults have the highest visit rate, and older males have
visiting
more visits
for
than
cannabis because
females.
they want cannabis, or because
Well,
they've had
because
some kind of.
they had overdosed and they needed medical care.
That's somebody giving
going,
their grandfather a couple extra brownies in there and not telling them at Thanksgiving is what that is. I feel like the black culture has a better sense of humor.
Either that or them not knowing their proper dosage.
Oh, that's funnier than hell. If I gave Grandpa a couple, like, here you go, Grandpa, and don't tell him, especially if he's been a real pain in the butt all year, and just kind of slide it in on him and watch him relive Nom on the couch, I'd do it.
It can be pretty frightening. I don't know if you've ever overdosed on cannabis. It really turns your mind inward. and that's
Well, what is overdosing on cannabis? Like, that's like, okay, so overdosing in the terms of taking more than you probably should.
Yes.
Not in the sense of...
It's not going to, overdose is not going to kill you with cannabis, obviously. But an overdose is to the point where it's like, okay, this is no longer...
When did that become a medical problem? That used to be why you took cannabis. You'd be like, I'm going to see how much I can take, smoke, eat, rub on my body, whatever I can do to get as high as possible. And then
high doses of THC can really have some...
only the first time. Oh, it's always a great story when you're done. You know, you're like, oh, I was, eating my pillow.
It all boils down to tolerance. It all boils down to tolerance. And if you don't know that the THC is in there, that's going to make a huge difference. You're going to be, why do I feel like this? Am I dying right now?
I don't feel like those facts are straight at all. Black male adults are the highest calling the hospital because they had too much weed. That was
just the numbers and the statistics that they gave from there.
I call farce on their statistics, sir. What else is in the news?
Based on what?
Based on I'm looking at Hence back here, and he looks like he would be all right. Like you, Hence, just you ain't calling nobody to come help you if you took too much weed, unless you didn't know you took weed, huh? Yeah. Hence ain't calling nobody for nothing. He said he don't care if his leg falls off.
2005 to 2019, so it's a lot of years. So.
All right. Well, what else? What else you got?
Well, the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission has issued a vape recall for 4 cannabis vape cartridges produced by Plank Road Laboratories under the Firefly Extracts brand. The recall stems from a random audit of Oregon's cannabis tracking system, and the OLCC says the recall is because vapes contain prohibited compounds, artificially derived CBN, which is cannabinol, and CBC, which is cannabichromine. And according to one of their press releases, it says under Oregon law, inhalable products like vape cartridges cannot contain artificially derived cannabinoids. Additionally, the synthetic CBC does not comply with OLCC requirements for non-cannabis additives in inhalable products, and is also prohibited under Oregon law. The Oregon Board of Pharmacy considers non-cannabis derived cannabinoids Schedule 1 substances. Now, the affected carts in this recall are Special Sauce, Hawaiian Haze, Cherry Wife, and T1 carts.
So they're putting the synthetic cannabinoids into them now, and they're making it not even the easy ones. Like, those are the hard cannabinoids, like the ones that people don't even usually know about. They're just going after.
Those are minor cannabinoids, so you're not going to find those in large amounts, and so they manufacture them. But Oregon is saying, according to their law, that's not acceptable in inhalable products. I think perhaps if it was ingested products, that might be different. I don't know that for certain though.
It's cool that they can check that, and I don't agree in any kind of restrictions whatsoever, but I props to Oregon for being able to. I mean, out here they're just start learning how to identify CBD, so, and these guys are already pulling out the CBGs, and yeah, they're ahead of the game. They don't mess with Oregon when it comes to weed. Even their government's smoking.
I say leave it out.
Yeah, good for them. Anything else in our headlines?
A new study suggests that THCO inhalation may not be safe. A new study published in the Journal of Medical Toxicology suggests that THCO has a similar structure to that of vitamin E acetate, which was linked to EVALI, or e-cigarette or vaping associated with lung injury outbreak in 2019, if you remember that. Normal said the EVALI outbreak resulted in thousands of people becoming sick and more than 60 fatalities. The study says that upon heating in a vape pen, both substances produce ketene, a highly potent lung toxicant that is suspected to cause EVALI. According to Normal, THC acetate has never been safety tested in humans. I've never had this stuff myself. I've only heard of it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've never done anything with it. I heard I'm not sure if that's the one that makes you hallucinate, or it's THCV, or.
It's supposed to be really strong. The way it was explained to me is it's a similar process. I mean, they use the same process to make heroin, I think.
Oh,
it's
good for them.
An ester, which I looked it up. And ester and acetate, they have these long, complex medical or scientific descriptions. But it's
That's when you're going too far with the weed. Even then, I got to get on the wagon and be like, hey, if you're processing your weed very similar to heroin, you're getting too high at that point. You know, you're getting too high.
Acetate just doesn't sound like.
You try Amy Fisher's fudge. You know, give that a shot first before you get all crazy with it, because that'll put you down for a couple days.
They're saying like if you heat it up, it's going to have a similar effect. It's going to produce that ketene, which they think is responsible for that. If you remember that the Uvalde outbreak in 2019, because people were putting vitamin E acetate into the vapes to kind of cut things, and it caused lung injuries in people.
Stop messing up the weed for everybody.
Yeah, let's play it safer than that.
And those are headlines.
That is the headlines.
And those are the headlines here at the NugLife Radio Show. Again, a higher level of education. We are now a write-off if you're listening. You can get your time back on your tax refund. I want to bring in our first guest today. We do have two wonderful guests with us right now. We have... who you may have heard before if you were on the show, Mr. Wayne Justman, who is a cannabis legacy, a man amongst men, and our friend Brian Perrone, who is also a cannabis warrior who's out there, spent a lot of his life making your life better, and also an insanely good piano player. Who I've heard. In fact, some of the best adventures we got to talk about the Castro Castle last night. Welcome to the show, guys. We could hear you now if you just get right up on your mics, just like you see me meant to do that.
We had the medical marijuana show.
Well, you got to get closer to yours.
He should be on it. He's fine.
Is he? You can hear him?
He's fine. I can hear him.
Okay.
For 5 years, we had the medical marijuana show, which was a public access TV show with Dennis Perrone as the host.
And Dennis is your brother.
Yes.
And I've had some of my greatest cannabis adventures over there at the Castro Castle, which me and Wayne spent like almost a whole hour just talking about even just the architecture over there. And who designed? Did you guys move into that? And it was just like, here's Peter Pan's Wonderland.
Yeah, well, my brother Neil was living there, and then the owner of the house was an alcoholic. My brother was alcoholic, so they would call Dennis and saying they're having a big brawl. Come over here. So Dennis became friends with the owner of the house, and he would help the guy. And when the guy was dying, he was saying, "You're the only friend I have in the world, Dennis. I want you to buy my house." So he bought the house before he died, and that started the whole thing.
And did it have all the because when you go to the castle, it looks like a normal San Francisco home from the front with a lot of art. But then when you go into the back, there's like bridges into the trees, and it's really a whole nother world. You feel like you're at a summer camp.
And that's throughout San Francisco, a lot of backyards that are just so beautiful, fixed up. No one ever gets to see them, you know. But Dennis would have such big parties. Everybody got to know Dennis's backyard, you know. And the castle, of course, looks like a castle. It's amongst the list of the 10 most unusual houses in San Francisco. The guy Max, you knew Max, Dwayne, right? Mm-hmm. He just died recently.
Yeah.
He's the one who painted the house to make it look like a castle. He did a fantastic paint job.
Is it a national land? Is it a what do they call it? A landmark? A historical?
Hysterical landmark.
Is it a hysterical?
Hysterical for what we did.
So many police raids.
Who is, let's say, one of the most influential people that you feel like has come through that house?
Yeah, well, it's hard to. There were so many, but of course, Dennis himself was very influential in so many different ways. But he crossed paths with many famous people. Abby Hoffman. I'm trying to think of some of the other famous. There were a lot of famous cannabis movers back in the 70s and 80s throughout the country. Ben Mazzell in Wisconsin, who was a tremendous freedom fighter. And they were good friends, and just a lot of activists who were really radical. Dennis knew them. Paul Krasner was a good friend of Dennis's. Gravy. The list went on.
What do you feel like is the one thing in cannabis that you're just super proud of accomplishing?
Well, that my brother Dennis got the ball rolling. You know, some people want to say Dennis legalized marijuana, but it's really questionable whether or not we even have legal marijuana right now. It's legal with an asterisk, and you follow the
Right.
asterisk.
And Dennis didn't
It's
support the Prop 64 whatsoever. He
No,
was
no, we were against it. And, we tried to persuade as many people as we could to, but they were. Dennis used to call 64 a pig with lipstick put on it.
right, right.
It's no matter how you looked at it, it was bad law. It was written by a bunch of lawyers. And
Yeah, it was like 68 pages or some
32
astronomical.
32 pages. I
Yeah,
believe.
humongous to list. I actually read through the whole thing and lost a lot of gigs because there were a lot of people who had money who were pushing that Prop 64. It was a very corporatized kind of legalization.
Mm-hmm.
So they had all the money, and then all the 215 people, were the protesters and the hippies.
64 didn't do anybody any good except the corporate America.
And
When I
not
say-
even a lot of them.
When I say that, as a patient, 64 didn't help me as far as access to cannabis or how's my cannabis being tested, et cetera, and they certainly didn't help the farmer. No. Two of the principal
Took the
people-
farmers completely off the map.
Exactly right. So 64 was some kind of a money grab, power grab. I've never understood what their intentions were.
I always felt, because I saw a lot of the people that were politicking 64, and it was always the douchebags, and it's real stuff. Like I got to meet a lot of people. I've done everything everywhere with cannabis, but it was always the same people that would rub me the wrong way because they were profiteering. You could see they don't smoke. That's a big thing for me, but they're just always at the party pushing their products, and there's no personality to them. And I noticed all these people clung together, and then
And I think a lot of it was that people were just taking the flyer saying legalization when they never really inspected what it really is really all about. 64, that was really like you say, almost like a corporate takeover. But one of the things that I'm proudest about Dennis, of course, was that his mantra of that all use is medical, that marijuana is medicine, and we've lost sight of that since 64 because they come up with this idea of recreational marijuana. And then she used to say there is no such thing as recreational
I remember
marijuana.
this.
There's recreational vehicles. But the word recreation means to refresh anyway. Marijuana is very refreshing. It refreshes our soul, our spirit, our minds.
just because you don't know what it's helping and medicating inside you doesn't mean it's not doing it,
Exactly. Maybe you feel like you're totally healthy, but if you continue smoking, it's helping your mind. All right, and that's a medical thing right there, that there's a psychological component to marijuana that it helps our minds.
Earlier, you had the discussion about this recent study that was out to say that older people are being negatively affected by the use of cannabis. I'll be 78 in a few weeks, or a couple of days, as a matter of fact.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I been smoking since I was 24. That'll be about 54 years that I've enjoyed cannabis. I've been around a lot of people that smoke cannabis. As this overdose, I'm not familiar with that. Generally, the people that I know that really get to a level of cannabis, that they're really high, et cetera, one of two things that they're interested in. One, they want to eat, or two, they want to sleep. I mean, I don't know any other people that say, well, listen, let's do this and overdose ourselves so we really lose functions and have to go to see a doctor or something like that. I miss that.
It's got to be a slipped in situation. Like, that's all the only way I could see you calling the hospital because you don't know you ate weed, or you don't know you took an Amy Fudge or something.
Well, some people just get frightened, right? And one of the things that we know is true, is that every person who goes to the emergency room for an overdose of cannabis has 100% they get better. All right, there's no other thing that people go to visit the emergency room that 100% of them recover. Everybody always recovers from cannabis.
Right.
Part of the point of their whole study there was to open up the conversation between physicians and their patients. Because cannabis is becoming more and more legal nowadays, they're saying there should be a conversation between the physicians, just overall in healthcare, about cannabis, so that they can avoid those health emergency room visits. Because that's inexperienced people that are ending up in there. they don't know what they're doing. They're taking too much, or they didn't know that they took it.
I just don't agree with that it's the black community in any way, because I feel like the black community had cannabis before the white community.
That's just a statistic
It
they
seems
gave.
like
I
the
don't know
black
the background
community is an
behind
easy
that.
dumping ground for any kind of social problems, which I really don't understand.
That's what it's
Blame
Benji
blame the
dumping.
black guy.
No.
Blame this guy.
You know,
Don't
you
shoot
were
the
saying
messenger.
that the doctors should have more of a conversation, but I've heard statistically there's only like 3 or 4 colleges, medical colleges, that actually talk about the cannabinoid system. They don't teach it in the doctor schools most of the time. So
That needs to
it's
change.
it's ignored.
That's Virginia. I think Virginia is one of them that does a cannabis program.
Mhm.
And
Not many.
I don't know the other 2, but props to me for remembering one of them. I'm looking at you, Benji, but you're not making eye contact because you're on a screen.
I'm
and
trying to remember. I know what you're talking about. There's a couple of states where there
Probably
have-
Colorado and maybe
I think it's-
Oregon.
I think there is something in Colorado, and I want to say there's something on the East Coast, but I can't remember exactly what state it's in.
Well, Virginia's East Coast, I think. Right? No?
Yeah.
Midwest?
More than just that. I can't remember.
Brian, how's your social media these days? Are you on Instagrams and Facebooks?
No, I
and
haven't been doing much on there, but every now and then I finish up a song that I've been working on, and I'll post it up on Facebook or on YouTube. And I write a lot of poetry, and sometimes I go back and I throw most of my poetry are pep talks to myself. So I kind of feel that it's good for everybody else.
Have you published yet?
Yes, I've been publishing of course, many times in cannabis magazines, because a lot of my poetry, you write about what you love.
Uh-huh.
So I write cannabis songs, cannabis poetry. I have one book that I had, I called it Poetry, which is cannabis poetry.
I feel like I might have actually come across this book.
I've had it in the Anarchist bookstore on the shelf. Barry Jerry let me put a bunch of copies up there. And he gave me money, to validate the transaction that, you don't just write for the fun of it, but you want people to read your writings.
Right.
So I got it out there.
I think I've sold a whole of 3.5 books. And 2 people have actually read them, though. It's my little brother, because I threatened to punch him, and my aunt.
Now, I think it published with one of the stories I wrote. I called it Gospel of Marijuana, according to Dennis, loosely translated from the Deadhead Sea Scrolls. And it was published in Gem magazine, so I would put that in the back. And I painted Dennis sort of like a Moses leading the tribe of cannabis people through the wilderness of prohibition. And I had to do it a couple of times because Dennis, I painted like Moses, and I had to downplay it a little bit. But, we had these priests,
Why'd you have to downplay it?
Well, I had to smooth it out so I didn't make Dennis too godlike.
I always looked up to him like that too. You guys had this click. I was telling Wayne about it last time when we first started in the industry. We'd watch you guys walk around in like this little power pack group, and very intimidating, especially Wayne. Wayne was like a beast. I was like, man, the Perones have security.
You were security.
Pardon?
You were security.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, where can people find you?
They can find me at my website, brianperone.com, or on Facebook.
And how do you spell it for some of those?
BRIANPERON.
I was very close. I got the last name right. If you want to find out more and you're listening out there, you could follow Brian Perone on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find his music on YouTube as well under Brian Perone.
Yes, there's a pod stuff list.
So make sure you go on there. I want you to follow, subscribe, like, send his links, do all that great stuff. And he has literature as well. Where can they find the literature? That's not YouTube.
No, it's not out there right now.
But we are going to get it out on Amazon. I'm betting he just doesn't know how yet. And we're going to show you, and then everybody can get access to it. Okay. It's going to be amazing. Wayne, where can we find you? You can't.
Oh, no. I'm a local boy. But the fortunate thing, my address has not changed in all the years. I've got a Gmail account. Folks can do that. My phone number is available. I have it doesn't seem like folks are having a problem with me over years being in contact with me.
Well, people just listening for the first time that are tuning in, and they're like, I want to know more.
Well, the suggestions that I have is go to my Facebook account. There are a lot of photos and information there. And then second of all,
Wayne Justman.
Google me.
Yeah.
Wayne Justman. And there's other information there, how to get a hold of me, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm happy to help or advise anyone that I possibly can. And remember, I'm still a patient, and that's how I look at this. And I want to make sure that myself and others have access to good cannabis. All use of cannabis is medical.
Well, Wayne, we want to thank you guys for coming in very
Always a
much.
pleasure.
I love when you guys come down. Brian, it's great to see you. And I hope to I'm going to actually Google your music myself tonight, so I have something to listen to on the way home. Make sure you follow them. Again, that's Brian Perrone, Brian Perrone on Facebook, Wayne Justman, or you could find his Gmail, or if you know him, and that's how you're going to find him around here.
And if I might, I know that you've got some guests coming in. The following guests that are coming in are wonderful women. They truly are an inspiration for what we do in our industry. You'll enjoy their company, and I hope everybody that listens to them.
Wayne Justman approved. Wayne Justman approved. They got the stamp of approval from Mr. Justman himself, which is also like a security check too. That means you get access to the front door of the castle without being tackled in the stairwell. Yes, thank you guys so much. Again, you're listening to the NugLife Radio Show, a higher level of education for the cannabis counterculture community. You're listening to us live on Edge Studios online, or you're watching it on the YouTube or the Facebook or whatever else we're on. Coop, we were in the presence of greatness, sir. Oh, this is a way better camera angle. He got me sexy. Thanks, Paul. So how was that? Are you basking in the glow right there? Do you feel like you learned?
Yeah, I can feel it through the internet.
You're feeling the learning? We still have another guest coming up. We also got some more NugLife news. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna learn. It's gonna be great. So keep on watching. If you're just tuning in right now, welcome to the fold. Our next guest on the show is sitting in front of me now. And she started her own Compassionate Care Act. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about you too. You have like a huge fan club going on. Welcome to the show. This the man in this Benji Cooper right here. He's in a little box right there. That's we feed him goldfish flakes from the top. Welcome to the show, Nicole Riddler. Nicole, how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Are you like from San Francisco?
I pretend like I am, but I'm really not. I'm a poser in that situation. I grew up in upstate New York in a very small town.
Which one?
I grew up in the Adirondack Mountains.
Oh yeah,
so
like
I grew
Canada.
That's exactly what I say because people are like, oh, upstate New York, and they're like, you're from the Bronx. I'm like, no, that is not upstate New York.
That's like where people go, you're from New York, but you don't talk very
right.
You don't have the accent.
But I couldn't wait to get out of that rural lifestyle and. After high school, a few years in the service industry, I decided to pack up my car and move to Austin, Texas. So I lived there for like 2.5
that's a
years.
conveyor belt to jail right there. How do you work in cannabis and go anywhere near
Right?
Texas? I would literally drive to the top of that state and go up and around before I even try to drive through any part of there.
Yes, it was a different world back then for sure as well. Just also coming from New York State and having that fear of God put in me, that a New York State trooper, I can remember my mother saying, if your car ever smells like pot, the cops are going to get you. And I was just so afraid of, state
And you thought
troopers.
Texas was better than...
No, but I really was interested in the culture there and the music scene. A lot of my favorite bands always went through Austin for South by Southwest, things like that. I just really wanted something new, so I was ready for an adventure.
How long have you been in the California side?
I've been in...
Which came first? Did you show up or did the activists start out in...
It started out, oh boy, I would have to say it started during my time in Austin. I had started, so I was in the service industry, had dropped out of college, really didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what field I wanted to go into, and I really didn't want to do school anymore. So that's what moved me to go into the service industry, went down to Austin.
What were you taking in school?
I don't know.
You don't even know?
No, it definitely
Best
smoking a lot of
answer
weed. Definitely I was smoking a lot of weed. So went to Austin. I knew I could get a job in the service industry anywhere, so I started bartending at a Latin restaurant. I worked there for about a year and a half and realized that this wasn't really going anywhere. I was, I think I was 26 at the time, and I was like, I need a big girl job. Do I go back to college or do I get another job? What am I gonna do? So I had heard about Lyft, and I had a car. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take a little breather and kind of just cruise around, drive Lyft for a couple months and see where that takes me. And I ended up really loving driving Lyft. It was super cool. I used to drive overnights with other Lyft drivers. We'd meet up, we'd keep tabs on each other. We'd meet up for, to get coffee and things. And it really.
You guys ever have one disappear? Is that a regular thing?
What? Someone, a
just,
Lyft driver
just a driver disappearing and you guys all have to solve the mystery or.
No, because Lyft is very technologically advanced with GPS tracking and very many safety standards.
Right where to find the body.
Right.
Oh, look, that one's not moving anymore.
The passengers are way creepier than the drivers, I have to say, in my experience.
So, I hear the most horrible stories when from Uber and Lyft drivers about the passengers.
Yeah, it can get a little weird. But
what was your worst? Everybody's always got one.
I do have one. So I picked up, can I say my best one instead?
Yeah.
Okay. My best Lyft story was I was working obviously in Austin, music capital of Texas, if not the country. And there was often many shows. I got a pickup at a venue. I went there, come to find out it was the folks that were part of the opening band for this musician called Grizz, who's pretty popular. He's out of Colorado, he plays the sax. Awesome. Anyways, so they get in my car and they're like, all right, we're going to the hills in, I can't even remember, Travis County somewhere. Anyways, it's been a while since I've been in Austin, but anyways, they wanted to go to this antique jewelry store so one of the folks could get a vintage gold Rolex. So I'm like, all right, let's go. So we went, and then when we came back, that was a 2-hour drive just there and back. We get back, they're like, hey, do you want to come to the show tonight? We can get you in backstage. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm coming back. So I got there and I'm standing outside and all of these girls are they see this real tall, skinny white dude come out of the bus and they're just like, oh my God, are you Grizz? Your last album, da, 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 da. I'm just like, who is this kid? So anyways, I got to party with them all night backstage.
And then they tried to murder you.
Yeah, right. No, it was really cool though. That was my best Lyft story because they just were so cool and wanted to let me hang out, and it was an awesome experience. So yeah.
I'm dying to hear the worst experience.
It wasn't that great. They're just people being disrespectful in the backseat.
Drunk and
I'll let you take it from there. Yeah. But that's really where I found my space.
Anybody try to have sex in the back of the car?
I said,
is that a thing? Oh, that's part of the thing?
Yes,
they were just doing it?
Right, yeah.
How many blocks did you tell them they had to still stop? I'm going to give you 4 miles to cut that out.
Oh, gosh. It was a really weird, because I used to drive overnight, so I was picking these folks up from 2-3 a.m. from a party, and
bucket list, total bucket list.
Yeah. Anyways, well, so let's.
Why Benji won't get in an Uber with me?
So the talking about my journey into advocacy. It did start with Lyft. At that time, I started loving driving. So I used to go to driver meetups. There was a Facebook group that we'd all kind of share tips and tricks. And I thought it was so interesting that folks were so helpful and really had this community when we literally were direct competition with each other, just being independent contractors out on the road. You want the most rides and the best sweet spots and all this stuff, but it was really a community.
Still good networking.
Yeah. And I call it the island of misfit toys,
right?
Because I feel like it was folks from all different walks of life that never really would have had that thing in common, but we were also very passionate about it. So when that happened, as I was getting really involved with the driver community, there was a local ordinance that was passed that would have made Lyft and Uber not be able to operate in the city. So once that passed, that actually did pass at the local level, and there was a petition drive that we had organized to get signatures to change the law. So when that opportunity came about, I was already organizing with the drivers, kind of doing my own thing, like how can we fix this, and like let's get it. This is our livelihood, supplemental flexible
So
income.
that's where the fire started, right?
Yeah, so I was like, let's go. And that's how I met folks from Lyft Corporate that had come down to run an actual, grassroots campaign. So they identified me and put me to work and recruited me after that campaign to work at Lyft in San Francisco. So that's how I got to the Bay Area. And then after that experience, working there for about 2.5 years, my team, specifically the public affairs
Seems like a
team.
horrible place to have to drive for a living.
What, Lyft?
San Francisco.
Oh, I didn't drive. I was at corporate.
Oh,
I was
so
at
you're
yeah,
okay.
they gave me the nice office job,
Oh,
which was
okay.
awesome, and I was able to organize.
Are you still there? That's like Lyft is a lifetime
Oh
career,
yeah,
isn't it?
they're still here. Yeah. No,
But are
they're-
you still there? Are you still?
No, I so after my time at Lyft, I had the opportunity to work at Ease, which is the
I know Ease, big
yeah,
fan.
of course. Yeah, totally. So I worked there for 4.5 years, and I joined the Ease team very blindly, in having a personal passion for cannabis and really appreciating the access that was now available to me, being newer to the Bay Area. I thought it was the coolest fucking thing. I could get a weed delivery in 7 minutes. Like, it was insane. When we first started using Ease, when I moved here, it was just like, it was really quick. And I thought it was amazing, like how that was the coolest thing ever. So
They use kids on bikes. That's the secret.
Right? Yes.
Tiny little kids on tiny little bikes. They
Yes,
just
children.
weave right through the traffic.
It's actually their technology, which is called on-demand delivery. They do something called dynamic delivery, which is able to, and they're the ones that actually created this kind of algorithm to, it's very similar to the Lyft model, where you get pinged to the closest driver.
Right.
The order gets pinged to the closest driver that's able to hold up to, I think the law was just
2 pounds or something.
no, $10,000.
Hmm.
So it's like a monetary value that's locked in a case, locked in the trunk, that allows for folks to pack orders. Yeah.
That expensive weed. You got one $10,000 blunt. You're
Right?
just driving it around
It's so
handcuffed to your
true.
wrist.
It's so true. So coming into that space, I started my job in January of 2018 at the dawn of adult use cannabis legalization, and when the rules, they were having all of the rulemaking processes at the BCC at that time, and figuring out a way to still continue to allow for access through delivery. When you're talking about medical cannabis patients or folks that need access to legal cannabis, the best way to get it to them is to their front door, especially folks that may have mobility issues, may not have the access to transportation, or may live in a cannabis desert, which is now over 60% of the state because of local control. So when I started this, having had that experience of really being a person of the people and really involved in grassroots advocacy and speaking for folks that this was an opportunity for, I was really drawn to the San Francisco legacy folks like Uncle Wayne, I call him, and the Perone brothers, and being able to experience the Castro
Gone
Castle.
to the castle.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
my
so
God.
many times.
Have you done mushrooms at the castle?
No, I don't think so. I
Treat
haven't been
yourself.
able to. I know at
Treat
night with all of
yourself,
the
colors
glow,
and
yes.
we had I used to host the HempCon shows, which is the big weed show. I used to throw weed off stage all day.
Hell yeah.
But we would stay at the castle, and it would be everybody in town at the same time. So it was just magical. Like you can't even.
It
You almost have
is.
to write about it just so it lives on.
And I think that's one of the things that really impacted my goals and my purpose, with having the resources of the largest technology company in cannabis to do something good. So when I had first started at Ease, I'm like, how cool would it be to give free weed, like deliver free weed to patients. Like that would be the coolest thing ever. And obviously through my relationship of meeting Uncle Wayne and building a very close relationship with him and hearing, all of the work that went into creating a pathway to protect medical patients that is still needing more protection now that the adult use regulations have come into place. It was really sad to see how disenfranchised medical patients were, especially with not being able to receive compassionate donations through the.
Hey, the seniors seems like we're getting it the worst.
Yeah.
I went to a senior event recently, and I was like, "This is what y'all are smoking? Like, who did this?"
Yes. Well, I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to work with Senator Weiner and many other patient advocacy organizations, Americans for Safe Access, Weed for Warriors Project, Sean Kiernan. I love working with them and really getting the work done at the Capitol to allow for patient access in many different ways, but being able to help them pass SB 34, which allows for the donation or for product to move through the supply chain free of tax to go to medical cannabis patients.
And that law right there is why you don't see dab bars and free samples at events anymore either, and they can't pass the cannabis. Yeah, because you can't give the cannabis, you can't donate it out. You has to be everything for sale and regulated, and
it has to go through metric. I would say that compliance is
destroyed the events, destroyed the cannabis events.
There's a lot of work to do still, but
Nicole, where can people find you if they want to know all kinds of cool things?
Well, I now that I've left my position at Ease, I started my own company called Recompass, which is a sustainability solution and hub for compassionate cannabis operators, allowing them to tap into our network of retailers and patient advocacy groups and patient organizations to provide them with medicine and reduce their waste costs of having to destroy cannabis that may be close to expiration or has a low
Isn't that
THC
the craziest
count.
thing?
It's insane.
They make same thing too. If you didn't, whatever you didn't sell, Benji, remember this at HempCon, whatever you didn't sell at the end of the day that you requested to, you were supposed to destroy.
You have to pay to have it destroyed.
Yeah.
You have to pay someone to destroy the
It was
cannabis.
like 1 gram at a time. We're like, we're going as fast as we can.
And they kept it all in a metal
If
storage
anyone can
container.
do it,
Yeah. It had to be checked out every hour on the hour. Like you watch those laws just flip flop every other week on what you can and can't do. Hang with us because we're gonna do news stories and then we're gonna do more plugs and all kinds of awesome things.
Love it.
That's Nicole Riddler too. You can find her on Instagram at
RE_Compass, COMPASS.
Say that one more time.
RE_Compass, Recompass.
Recompass, Re_Compass at Instagram.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
Check us out.
First day. Benji, NugLife. Oh, we have a news bumper, don't we?
Hold on.
Check this out.
Yeah, you give me a moment.
We got a news bumper. So make sure you follow again Nicole Riddler, RE_Compass on Instagram. That's where you can find her. She'll be doing awesome things. And I'll just keep talking.
Please do.
Thank you. You're listening to NugLife Radio, a higher level of education for the cannabis counterculture community. We have been alive for like 11 years now. We're the first cannabis education show syndicated on FM terrestrial radio in 4 cities. And now we're in Paul's basement in San Francisco.
Are we still on in Baker anymore?
Baker. That was like if you break down in between Baker and Vegas when you're driving and you're like pointing just in the right direction and you like you find the last station on the right and then you jump it over half a notch and you might hear us.
Mm-hmm.
KNSFR? K-Bomb? Was that K-Bomb?
KNSD?
KNSV? Yeah, it was a lot of radio stations. Back in the day. Oh, Paul with the bumper. Just mouth your music, Benji. Here comes Benji on the show to do news for people that smoke.
Nevada used to have some pretty strict cannabis laws, but in 2023, things have changed rather drastically. Medicinal and adult use cannabis have been legal for a while, but now Las Vegas will become home to the state's first, as far as I know, officially cannabis-friendly hotel. The Artisan Hotel Boutique.
Oh, really?
Near, but not on the strip, will undergo a multi-million-dollar transformation and emerge as the Lexi. The 64-room hotel will designate its fourth floor as its cannabis-friendly hub, complete with a state-of-the-art Restore Air filtration system, which uses advanced oxidation cell, or AOC, technology. The idea behind the hotel which is set to open in spring 2023, is to normalize the idea of cannabis in travel. And Elevation's president, Alex Risk, says the Lexi allows Elevation Hotels and Resorts brand to truly showcase our commitment to creating a new type of hotel concept that is defined not only by our acceptance and normalization of cannabis in the hospitality space, but also by our dedication to reclaim storied properties and transform them for modern day travelers. The hotel will also feature a Cajun-inspired steakhouse, munchies, and a spring-summer pool party season will begin in the coming months. So what do you think? Do we need to visit the Lexi, or
I think somebody jacked my idea. We go to the Artisan. We've been going to cannabis shows at the Artisan for years after the Champs after parties and all those good shows when they come into town. Everybody always does it at the Artisan, and it's a fantastic time. Afro Man.
A little background there.
Yeah, I mean, so when it's not a cannabis wonderland, it's like a sex casino. Like, I don't think they have their gaming license, so there's no poker machines. But it's like known for big giant orgy parties for the sex world. Yeah. Did you know that, Nicole?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that is the
Artisan.
Artisan.
That'll remain tacked when they switch to
I just told somebody last year when they were for sale they need to buy that and make it a cannabis casino, and now somebody did it.
Wow. So maybe somebody heard. I think we're going to start to see more of that as legalization spreads. You're going to see more cannabis-friendly spots, especially in Vegas, because, I mean, it's a playground, honestly. And as bad as, laws used to be there, things have done pretty much a 180, and they're
used to be a one-seat felony. You're talking like about Texas and upstate.
Yeah,
you get caught with one seat, it was 3 years. I mean, they usually just make you throw it out, but you used to get a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to the Artisan. That is a fun place. If you go to Champs or anything like that, Nikki, go to the Artisan. They always have an after party, and we get a smoke on those little table pool things. Those ain't there, but everybody's around the pool. Somebody falls in. It's a great time.
Amazing.
Now they're going to have a whole floor dedicated to that. I'm assuming that's with rooms where it's,
Yeah, they have rooms. I'm totally hating on it. This was my idea. I'm going to make, I swear, I got a phone call to make after the show. And you should see the casino that they did invest in. The Ahern.
Maybe we can make our way out there and check it out at some point.
300 Sahara Boulevard.
Because I haven't been there before. So
yeah, really, dude, it is such a great. I have had some of the best shows that for after parties, but that is a really, really. I've done 2 there so far, and it has been amazing every time. Like, that place is the only thing that sucks is there's no parking. You have to park all over the neighborhood. But otherwise, that place is an amazing, like, they're going to make hand over fist money. Nikki will be there at Champs. Look, Nicole Riddler will be at the Artisan for the Champs after party. It's out there now, so now you have to do it.
Maybe.
No, now you have to. We put it out there.
Vegas, I'm just like not into it.
Oh, it's only for the first day, but then you take the acid, and then the next 3 days are a blast.
Yes, that's true.
You're like, why didn't I take this on the first day?
Settle in.
What else is going on? Destroying my hometown of Vegas.
So actor John Larroquette, who you may remember from the TV show Night Court, was also in the 1974 horror film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in which he played the movie's narrator. Well, John
I didn't know that.
I didn't either before today. I've seen the movie, but I didn't realize he was the narrator. Well, he recently confirmed an internet rumor and revealed that he didn't get paid for his role in the film. Well, not with money anyway. In a recent interview with Parade Magazine, John said that director Toby Hooper, who had been a friend for years, paid him with cannabis. And it was a mutually beneficial deal. The director got cheap voiceover work, and John got a nice little cannabis haul. John Larroquette says, he gave me some marijuana or a matchbox or whatever you called it in those days. I walked out of the studio and patted him on the backside and said, good luck to you. Now, Hooper spent under $140,000 on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which would be about $800,000 in today's money. And the film franchise has done pretty well, so I think he's made his money back with it. So imagine paying your voiceover talent in cannabis is a good way of saving on production costs. So what would you say, Mike?
I pay my dentist in cannabis. I pay my half my babysitters in cannabis. Anybody cleaning my house is working for weed. Half my actors in any of the short film, all paid in weed. Weed is more valuable than money. Money comes and goes, but weed,
It's its own Bitcoin.
yeah, because you're taking away the struggle of having to find it. You don't have to leave your house if it's fire, and you're just like, here's a half a pound. I need this half-hour footage edited.
Great currency.
Nikki, what was the last thing you bought with weed?
Both
Let's
parties
see.
are happy.
I've been paying some of my supporters that are helping me with my business, specifically my engineer in cannabis products for sure. But luckily, he's a medical cannabis patient and he's kind of already getting it already. So
little discount.
That's my favorite. I give a lot of free weed out. That's
Do you
for
remember
sure.
Night Court? Do you remember that show at all?
No,
With John
That's
Larroquette?
before
Funny
my
show.
time, I think.
Oh man.
Or maybe before my
The
time.
reboot just won.
So when you look up Night Court with Marsha Warfield and everybody,
When I do that,
when you do, because you're gonna watch
I
it,
have to.
because
Okay.
John Larroquette's in there, but he is also in Night Court.
Stop.
If you Google that cast, you'll see him. He was the opposing attorney. Benji, you
What
can't
episode-
see him, can you?
In all of the episodes.
Hence, just come over and stick your head in
He
the
was the-
camera.
he was the clerk.
It's just so worth
He was
it.
the-
Hey, go sit right in this chair right here, Hence. While we talk about John Larroquette, we have a Night Court expert here. Night Court expert coming to us live on the scene. Stand-up comic, Hence, look at his face. Wait, can we Google Night Court cast?
Oh my God.
You got to see this if we can get this up. Has anybody ever told you that, Hence?
Last week someone told me that.
That you look like this person?
Yeah. I usually get Samuel L. Jackson, or I'll get the father.
You lie. You don't get Sam Jackson.
Okay.
Nah. Sometimes they say Denzel, you know,
Never say
the guy from Wakanda.
Gonna pull it up for you.
Night Court cast.
You getting it?
Yeah, but are you able to pull it on screen?
You can pull it up on and just put it right in front of your camera. And I'll do that. Hold on. So that you can see it on right in front.
There he is.
You know, put it up on the front of that camera over there.
Okay.
Right. Get it close.
Yeah, the Night Court cast there, Marsha
Wait, hold on.
Warfield.
Let them see it. Hold on.
Hence,
And-
when he was young, this was, a couple years back. There we go. There we go. Look, Bull Shannon.
yeah,
Yep.
so I remember what's his name.
Oh, gosh.
I want to say it's
Richard Mall.
R.
Was it? No, Richard Mall was Bull
No,
Shannon.
that's the
Like,
that's
Yeah,
John
that's that guy.
Larroquette.
Bull Shannon.
Yeah.
His name is Hence.
Yeah.
That's his
You're
name.
in
That's why you can't remember it because he's trying to hide it. He's like, his name is Lentz. He's badly hiding it. So Night Court, the guy from Night Court grabbed somebody's butt and got paid in weed. Did he smoke it with you on the show or?
Oh, of course. You gotta smoke weed everywhere.
You look just like him. Doesn't he look like him? Nobody? Just me?
That's not racist at all.
That is not when you actually look like him.
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, you look like the Night Court guy, looking like Sam Jackson right there. Kind of like him.
You just showed me.
He looked like the Night Court guy.
1 second.
Same teeth, like just it's you. I thought that the first time I met you. I was like, oh crap, Paul knows the guy from Night Court. Kids today don't know what Night Court is. You probably
you thought it
just
was
missed
Marsha
it.
Warfield.
Just missed it. Couple decades.
Yeah.
But when you're Googling it later, because that's what people Google. What else you got in the news? Took a long time to get through Night Court.
Well, if you're a cannabis user and you're planning on doing some air travel, be aware that airport security may be onto your smuggling methods. TSA officers at Boston Logan International Airport recently flagged a traveler when a candle was in their possession and raised suspicion during a screening. Upon investigation of the candle, TSA officers discovered that it contained more than one kind of wax. In addition to the regular candle wax, officers discovered cannabis concentrates layered into the candle.
Yeah.
According to the traveler, the candle had been a secret Santa gift from a co-worker. On Twitter, TSA spokeswoman Lisa Farbstein said This individual gets an A for creativity, but an F for failing to recognize that the TSA officers frequently detect artfully concealed items among luggage. TSA says, with the exception of CBD, flying with cannabis products that contain more than 0.3% THC is still illegal federally. While cannabis is legal in some parts of Massachusetts, if they catch you with it at the airport, they will bring in law enforcement to investigate. One time in college, I flew home from Ohio and I smuggled a metal pipe in my luggage, but I disassembled it and scattered it throughout, so they didn't find it. And on another occasion, I accidentally smuggled a small keychain pipe into Israel.
Is luggage the code name for butt?
No, actual luggage.
Do you know
I bought it in Yellow Springs, Ohio, home of a very famous comedian, Dave Chappelle. At a head shop there. And then when I came home for, I think it was summer, I disassembled it and scattered it through my luggage, and it got home fine.
I went to Amsterdam with Ponyboy, and on the way back, I told the people to check his butthole for hash because we were getting double searched because he's wearing his stuff, and he was like, sock him in the arm. We got through, but he had hash in his butt, and that's, I swear, that's Ponyboy, the Los Marijuanos. Smuggled hash to California. It's to California too. I think we're flying into Cali or Vegas, but somewhere where weed was legal. And I'm like, why are you smuggling hash in your butt to a place where weed is legal? You have 1 million followers.
And they don't take kindly to jokes about anything when it comes to airport and security and stuff.
Oh yeah, you should have seen the dog walking on his iPad, and it was all just a thing. What else you got in the news? Anything?
That is the cannabis news for this week. If you want more cannabis news, you can find me over at NugLife News on Instagram or CannaGeek News, or you can head to my website, cannageek.net.
Check out his OnlyFans.
I have some breaking news.
Yes,
it's actually not breaking, but very timely. On this Thursday, I am partnering with PAX to host a Day of Peace, PAX Day of Peace. It will be this Thursday, the 19th. We are hosting 3 compassion events on the same day. Starting off at Cal Street Cannabis on Clement Street at 9:30 a.m. They will be providing free medical cannabis to patients that have a doctor's recommendation. And then we'll be going to Posh Green Cannabis Boutique in the Bayview, the first Black women-owned cannabis dispensary. And she will be partnering with This Is Jane Project to provide medical cannabis to patients. If you're a patient with a doctor's rec, come by. And then we'll be going over to Oakland from noon to 2 for the same thing, and partnering with World HIV Organization for Women with HIV. But any medical cannabis patients with a doctor's recommendation can stop by either of those locations and receive a free bag of premium cannabis products from Ember Valley, cannabis. From PAX, and a PAX device as well, and 3 pods from them, along with pre-rolls from Lowell Farms.
That's
and
so cool.
Edibles from Kiva, some of their terabytes. So if you got your doctor's
you have all this memorized. This is just coming out. Like, I'm so impressed right now.
I was talking too much earlier.
She's just rolling. I can't even remember the 2 plugs at the beginning of the show, and she's just like, oh, we got all the sponsors and the brands.
I'm so excited. And also, if you want to RSVP to that event, it's tinyurl.com/PAX, PAX, Day of Peace, all one word, tinyurl.com/PAX, Day of Peace. And we'll see you there.
Hence is going to be at every single stop. You're like the welcome wagon.
And I live in Oakland, West Oakland.
Yeah. Stop by Ocana.
Get my recommendation right here.
Got my ID. Got my recommendation.
Perfect.
You mentioned Kiva. I like this. I like that brand. They came out with like off the wall, kind of like atypical stuff. One year they came out with a medicated Thanksgiving gravy that was released for a limited time during November.
That would be so good, right now.
I love
companies that do that kind of stuff.
We're gonna add a cooking portion to the show. Paul, I'm gonna need you to show up with a turkey dinner next week.
Sure, and I'll have
but you do it live on the air. We'll cut the cranberry with medicated gravy.
Good idea.
Medicated gravy, sir.
That is a very good idea.
That sounds so dang good right now. God, Kiva's awesome. Kiva, they used to come out to the hemp cons, but all these companies back in the day, they were just babies. And watching them grow over this last decade has just been insane. Yeah.
That's a huge, huge thing to
Anybody
still
who
be
does
around.
medicated gravy or does anything original, let's just say, just has my heart, because you could say that's community, that's not corporate,
Yeah. Have you had their Lost Farms chews, the gummies? They're not gummies, they're chews. You have to
Maybe.
get them with the live rosin from Jetty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're
yes,
so
big fan of Jetty. Jetty pens back in the day.
Love Jetty.
Then that's another one
We
that's
just
been
got-
around forever.
Recently got to try their Dablocator. That is an ingenious little device.
Dab
know, right?
locator.
Yes, it's a
The
giant
the
tube that you
Dablocator.
kind of
Oh yeah, you
twist
can
out
just
and it-
easily
you
just
can-
like dose your
the,
yeah,
the concentrate
dabs.
comes out.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. I thought I was like gonna locate like dee, and I'm gonna find.
Like GPS on
That
your hammer.
Oh
would be
shit!
useful as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, hence I'm in your top drawer again. The dab locator seems to be working perfectly.
No, that thing is great for dosing edibles or like just your dabs will be the same amount every time.
Oh, that's great. So one more time, where can everybody be found? Don't forget Brian Perone, Wayne Justman. You can find them on Facebook under their names, BrianPeron, and Wayne Justman spelled just like Jesus wrote it originally. Hence, where are you at?
This Friday, Paul and I are at the
Reruns of Night Court.
Wolf House. We're at the Wolf House Brewery up in where's that at?
The Wolf House Brewery in Cloverdale.
Cloverdale. I keep
Cloverdale.
saying Toddy, I don't know why. It's a new brewery. They got great food. They make their own craft beers. So
You just didn't even know where it was a second ago, and now you're telling me how great the food is and the beer. And
food. I'm a foodie.
Have you been
I-
there?
Oh, I've been to the food part.
Okay.
Tried out the food. Going there, I just
Paul blindfolds you on a weird grinder date.
But yeah, I can be found on Facebook under Hence the Show Begins, HLS
catchy.
Comedy, or Hence Singleton
I like
on
that.
social media. So
I like that. That's catchy too.
You can find me on Instagram. No, Siri. You can find me. You can find Recompass on Instagram, RE_Compass, COMPASS. And see us Thursday for some free weed.
we sure will.
Love it.
I feel like there's still chocolate in here.
There
Benji
is.
Cooper at Can of Geeks or NugLife News on Instagram. I am Medicinal Mike. I got some shows coming up too. Something going on at Champs. Don't forget, if you're eating fudge, you should eat Amy Fisher's fudge because it's the best fudge. And I don't know if I could legally say that. It gets me medicated. Thank you everybody for listening. Benji, thank you for coming out again with the giant digital thing. If you're
pleasure.
good, we'll leave the monitor on for a few hours so you can, still exist.
And we didn't cut off
I feel
his
like Max
logos right
Headroom
now,
in the
so
end.
that's great.
And we're at Edge Studios. So what?
We didn't cut off his logo this time. so
Oh, we didn't cut off his logo. Thank you for smoking with us today and listening and learning. I hope you learned some stuff. And we can make. Oh, this is such good chocolate.
It's got caffeine in it.
Oh yeah, I taste the coffee. Medicinal Mike, Benji Cooper. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week. Maybe with show prep, maybe not.
We shall see.
All right. Bye-bye. Hit the button, Paul.
I will.
You still there, Ben?
Amen.
He
How's it
is,
going, man?
until I transition to your
They're
exit.
finally gone. Oh, look, we got a little thing going up. Look at that. Yeah.
That's nice.
Nice. I think I can still hear you.